Hey, welcome to EPN. I'm your host, Victor Lucas, and this is our guest co-host today. This is Johnny Millenium from the Happy Console Gamer Show.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being on.
Absolutely.
We are definitely going to be talking about some God of War, and I have to thank our friends at NECA for sending me out this ridiculous thing.
Give me this thing.
Isn't it crazy? You can hold it because I got to read the script.
This is great. So every time Vic screws up today, I'm going to hack at him.
Sounds great.
He's not going to have a neck left at the end of it.
My daughter loves this, by the way, NECA. My 6-year-old kid thinks this is amazing. Anyways, let's get started with our rundown today, and it's going out to Biggly Diggly, who loves the EPL streams, the EP live streams that we do, especially when we have funny mishaps like we did yesterday, and with the Xbox One kicking me out of my account. So I couldn't stream any of the games at the end of the day, and that was such a big piss off Xbox, but it worked 20 minutes later. Audrey and Leon, you were asking about that. Everything was cool, but let's get started. If anyone can fix the DC movie universe, it's Steven Spielberg. The iconic director is officially set to produce a big screen adaptation of DC's Blackhawk. DC and Warner Brothers made the announcement yesterday evening, confirming that Spielberg will produce the film, and several trade papers like Variety report that he may also direct, although that hasn't been officially announced. This will be Spielberg's first time working on a DC property, or any superhero property for that matter, although he's obviously dabbled in heroism with his previous films. As for when Blackhawk might begin filming, Spielberg's next project is the 5th Indiana Jones movie, due out in 2020, so don't expect to see Blackhawk until after that. And what I've heard is that it won't be until after West Side Story as well, which is
he's
the next
tackling that as well. He's a very busy man, like Ridley Scott. These guys just cannot stop.
Yeah, it's his escape. I mean, he was built and born to be this director. He is still very, present and very popular, and he just brought us Ready Player One, and we had a blast with that. Although I kind of thought he was the wrong choice for that material.
You said that. I thought he was okay. I think they tried to stretch a lot of material down into a very short space, and that was very difficult.
This Blackhawk project is an interesting one because it is very divorced from what we know about all the DC superheroes. It's this World War II era, hero that an incredible ace pilot who has his own island, Blackhawk Island, and he's sent on special missions. He's kind of like a DC version, his team is kind of like a Howling Commandos kind of vibe. And of course, they've updated him over the years, so he kind of has been fused a little bit more with kind of an Iron Man / Nick Fury kind of vibe. So he could be an interesting character.
Does he have any special superhero abilities? No, I don't know.
I honestly don't know. I would read tales with him every once in a while because I would read things like Brave and the Bold and stuff when I was growing up. And they would bring him into the DC universe every once in a while, but I'm not like a super fan. I couldn't read everything. I didn't read the Sergeant Rock stuff, which I think is also coming as well.
And then this is a very interesting choice to bring this into a movie when there's all these other superheroes that are a little bit more well-known. So it's kind of interesting. They must have a good storyline behind it, hopefully.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that we're in this era where heroes, obviously, we need them, right? Like the comic movies are happening and they're working very well, but I also think this idea of military figures and heroism that way and characters that have this really easy and clearly defined sense of virtue could do very well in this world that feels very mixed up and crazy.
That'd be kind of cool, though, for World War II. Is it set in that era?
I hope so.
I hope so. That would be great.
I think the thing that will determine that is how successful the next Indiana Jones movie is. If people don't like it, and
I'm nervous. I know you're so excited.
I'm excited and nervous for sure. I hope he just makes an awesome movie, and if it isn't awesome, I think that we may have some issues with Blackhawk coming out.
Hey, you liked Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. I'm not saying anything.
I did. There was a lot of stuff in there that I really liked, but not the Tarzan yodeling. All right. Well, while we're on the subject of Steven Spielberg, the legendary filmmaker has just done something that no other director has done. Thanks to the success of Ready Player One, Steven Spielberg is now the first filmmaker in history whose films have earned a combined total of more than $10 billion at the box office. With huge hits like Jaws, E.T., Indiana Jones, and Jurassic Park, it might come as a bit of a surprise that he hasn't done this already, but keep in mind that those movies came out when ticket prices were a lot less than they are now. Spielberg hasn't given any indication that he'll stop making movies anytime soon, so expect his total to keep going up. I think we need to collectively give Mr. Spielberg a round of applause,
right? And here's the thing. He's not doing this for money anymore. He's made his money a long time ago. He does this for the passion. He just can't stop doing it,
I don't think he did it for for money ever. I think he did it for...
Well, I think he did it for a bit of fame and money and all that to begin with. But then all of a sudden he's like, okay, I accomplished that. Now it's time to actually, just make all the movies I really want to make over time.
Well, he's so smart and so lucid and so, on top of his game with a real understanding of all the mechanisms that are involved in building a movie that, I feel that he is doing precisely what he was supposed to be doing.
For sure. That's his path in life. He chose the right path. This is the path.
And I think his fame, and I'm speaking for him and I have no right to, but I think his fame probably gets in the way. And he would rather just be
a filmmaker, not because everybody's always coming up, Mr. Spielberg, I love you. Oh my God, tell me a legendary story. And he's just like, I'm just a normal dude. I just want to make movies. I just care about movies. That's it.
And honestly, if you look at films like Munich and Bridge of Spies and The Post and Lincoln,
I just watched The Post recently. Yeah,
excellent. Still, and you can see the filmmaking prowess and the Spielbergian kind of elements in there. Yeah. But they're stories with real meat and they're filmmaker movies. They're message movies.
There's stories that he wants to tell. Yeah. Because he wants to tell them. Yes. And that's all. And it's not about money. It's not about an agenda. He wants to tell them the Post. Great example.
Fascinating human being.
Very, absolutely.
And we are lucky and privileged to be able to enjoy his work
for
as long as we have.
Look at all the movies we've enjoyed from him.
And so fast, so quickly he comes out with these ideas.
And then like Ridley Scott, I'm saying.
And then he's also associated with lots of other things that we don't especially like Transformers and stuff like that. But he is a part of all of it. He was a producer on Back to the Future. He's been the crucial. That's why I didn't think he was the right guy for Ready Player One.
Why?
Because he's been involved with all of those, and he didn't want to reference every single one of those.
But that's okay. I think he did fine for what he. We needed 3 movies to tell that story. That was the only problem with that movie.
I mean, J.J. Abrams, as much as we look to him as like the poor man Spielberg, I think he would have been
I think he's stepping up.
Well, he's a great director too.
Yes,
but I think he would have been an excellent director for this homage to Spielberg.
Yeah, but he needed 3 movies again to do it, for sure.
Yeah,
so,
you're right.
There's just not enough time in that movie.
All right, well, we'll find out. I'm sure a sequel to Ready Player One is going to happen as well.
Ready Player 2.
Exactly. All right, well, the Call of Duty franchise might be leaving one of its biggest features behind. Black Ops 4 will reportedly not include a traditional single-player story campaign, citing unnamed sources. Polygon, Eurogamer, Kotaku, and several other outlets report that the developers decided to drop the single-player when they realized that they just wouldn't be able to finish it in time and are instead focusing on finishing the multiplayer. As a replacement, the game will still have the popular Zombies campaign, and there may also be co-op and other new modes. Speaking of which, Kotaku reports that one of the additions will be a Battle Royale mode inspired by Battlegrounds and Fortnite. Keep in mind that no official announcements have been made by either Activision or developer Treyarch, but we'll let you know if that changes, and we are going to know mid-May because there's something big coming our way. That's all I can say right now. Black Ops 4 deploys this October. This would be a tremendous mistake, I think, if they didn't have single player.
You have to have single-player mode for that. Do you know, to be honest with you,
yes,
when I play one of those games, I only play the single-player mode. I do not go online because I'll be dead in under a minute.
I go online, but I don't. I'm not such a fetishist, devourer of that content, and I'm not so concerned about leveling up to be awesome at it.
Having an orange gun doesn't excite you?
Yeah, I play for the fun of that, and I've always enjoyed these Call of Duty games.
Me too. I enjoy them as well.
And I love the zombie stuff that they add on. There's always a tremendous amount of value in the Call of Duty experience. If you suddenly take a third of that value away, that's going to be bad news for this game.
Yeah.
I know that the development cost must be insane now because of the fidelity of these experiences, but this brand has made so much money that there's literally no excuse that Activision can provide. The only thing that they could do, which we would all get, is hesitate, hold off, change the release date. It's not going to affect your bottom line that much, and you will make people much happier.
Call of Duty Fortnite. That's what's going to be coming, it seems, eh?
Obviously, we're going to be getting Battle Royale.
By that now. Yeah, absolutely.
100%. Yes. Yeah. It's going to be in tons of games. I've been saying it since PUBG came out, and there were rumors that Microsoft was going to buy the studio. there's going to be so much competition in that space that it's going to be very precarious.
It's going to oversaturate it again.
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
When any new genre becomes super popular.
If they were making Tony Hawk games, there would be a Tony Hawk Battle Royale game out there right now.
That'd be great. Just skidding to the middle of the park. That'd be so funny. It's closing in on you.
Trying to push everybody off. I would love a Road Rash Battle Royale game.
That'd be good too.
Wouldn't that be fun?
Yeah,
100 people in the race.
Yes.
It's basically
motorcycles, all. Oh, that'd
Death
be great.
Race 2000. Right
Yeah,
there.
that'd be good.
Developers, Brian Provinciano, you're agile.
$1 billion idea today.
There you go. You can do it. I think this would be the single player is as crazy as those are, and they aren't the most played elements in that series.
To me, they are.
But yes, for me as well, I always look forward to those single player parts. Even if I don't like them, I like the nutso-ness, like the crazy stuff that they throw into those.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the sprinkling of different sort of game mechanics and game types, it's really important. I think it would be a huge mistake. All right, let's move on because it's time for some Vin Diesel news. We should have Vin Diesel graphics. Vin Diesel. Vin Diesel is taking control of one of his biggest franchises. The actor and his company One Race Films, along with production company The H Collective, have bought the rights to the Triple X franchise from original owner Revolution Studios.
Oh, God.
They plan to create a new fourth entry in the series with Diesel once again in the lead and the third film's director DJ Caruso back as well. Diesel had hoped to continue the franchise, but it seems the original studios weren't as interested as him.
doubt.
So taking control is a good way to ensure a new movie gets off the ground.
No.
The third film earned just $44 million domestically and an impressive $350 million worldwide, making it more popular in emerging markets, particularly China. No word yet on a release window. How many times did you see
I
the last
think,
Triple X
I think
movie?
like 20 times.
20 times?
Yeah, 20 times nothing.
It's crazy because what you don't see what's off camera at Happy Console Gamer is the shrine.
Oh,
Vin
yeah.
Diesel. When you come into the
I put on my wig thing or whatever, my
Ball
ball cap, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, oh, let's do this. Yeah, I'm slam dunking Kim around.
But the way you do it is you punch yourself in the face. Oh, let's do this.
Let's do it. I have a mock car that I'm sitting in.
His leg's freaking out. He's like, stop yelling.
The audio's killing me. So we get excited about Vin Diesel.
Triple X. I mean, the one thing I will say that I admire about Vin Diesel is that he's passionate about the stuff that he's involved in.
And I like him. I do like him as a human being. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well,
he's a big Dungeons and Dragons player. I appreciate that.
Yeah, there's cool things about him, but it doesn't make me think because The Rock doesn't like him, unless it's a manufactured thing. There's a huge rivalry between them.
No, no way. I didn't know that.
Lots of mudslinging between the two guys. And the Rock probably is a lot to deal with because of he's like an
big
industry
prima donna, huge thing now.
He just probably comes in like a tidal wave.
Yeah,
with like 1 million people around.
Well,
him.
he does. He brings his own gym with him.
Yeah, so
huge gym.
It must be difficult to work with both of them, but I kind of admire.
When did they work together?
They're on the Fast and the Furious, but here's what.
Okay. So from that,
yes.
So this is where their rivalry started from.
They were saying shit about each other on Instagram
what a bunch of dummies.
And then all the old family of Fast and the Furious rallied around Vin Diesel and made it look like The Rock was a jerk. Wow. And it's
cool.
petty, but it creates this
fun.
Well, it creates this allure to go see if any of that stuff happened on screen, But what they're doing, I don't know if you followed this, they're making a spin-off of The Rock's character and Jason Statham's character that's not Fast and the Furious, just about those guys.
God, of course they are.
Of course
they are.
And The Rock will have his gym on there. But
interested.
If The Rock doesn't like Vin Diesel, though, that definitely perks my ears because The Rock feels like as crazy as it would be to be around him. Seems pretty cool.
Seems pretty cool.
Yeah.
But Vin Diesel's pretty cool too. So I don't know who to believe with this.
That's true. Yeah.
It's
you should see
unusual.
Johnny and I when we're not on camera.
Oh yeah, we're swearing at each other.
Oil and water, man.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, Netflix is continuing to shake things up in the entertainment industry. The streaming giant is now valued at more than $146 billion, or hovering around $150 billion, making it the 8th biggest media company in the world, eclipsing traditional Hollywood studios like Warner Brothers, Fox, and Sony Pictures. The only studio that's really bigger than Netflix. Take a guess.
Bigger than Netflix?
Yeah. There can only be one.
What, YouTube?
Well, Disney.
Well, Disney, okay, whatever.
YouTube's probably, of course.
Yeah.
And there are also multimedia conglomerates like Comcast that are bigger as well. This is pretty impressive when you consider that Netflix is a relatively new company and only just getting started producing original content less than a decade ago. Now, this is super interesting, and it's also, I think, a little bit controversial, right? Because they're starting to kind of become a monopoly kind of player out there until these other streaming competition
come in, like Disney kicks in and all that kicks in.
Yeah, but the thing that Netflix hasn't done, they are paying for original stuff, but they don't always own those original ideas.
Well, that's why they're making anything and everything.
But they don't always own the concepts.
Really?
Yeah, they pay for the
rights for that to make right.
And once those, because they work with the traditional studios,
right?
And the traditional studios don't just sign the rights away. Like if Sony,
they want a piece of the puzzle too.
Yeah, if Sony creates, like I think Sony is a part of House of Cards, it's Sony's show. If Netflix doesn't want House of Cards, they can take it.
They need to kind of figure that out.
You know what I'm saying?
They need to get rid of that other middleman there. Get rid of them.
It's one thing. So it's like a false equivalency here, because it's one thing to be a distribution platform, but it's another thing to be the production platform, and that's a much more precarious way to conduct business, as we've seen with Xbox and lots of companies that have come into the space of paying for ongoing production. And like, I've been going to movies for all my life, and what always amazes,
that's a long time.
I love movies. It is a very long time. But one thing that has always amazed me is the disappearance of those logos at the beginning of these films. The production entities that come and go.
Oh my god!
All the time.
I know, like Bigfoot Productions gone next week,
right?
Like whatever, you know.
Do you remember Orion Pictures?
Of course.
Right. There were lots of these movies that we saw that we would come up with, and like
TriStar was another one. Yeah, stuff like that. You know,
and sometimes they get consumed by the big studios, and they just become like a little mini brand or whatever. But a lot of these production entities that actually handle the production disappear, and Netflix is doing that. But to go all in on that, that's the difference between Fox and Sony and Warner Brothers and Disney, is they all have lots, and they all have full-time production.
Oh yeah,
people.
This is a big thing.
They've
invested in this over the last 60, 70 years.
And I don't know if Netflix is quite there yet. I don't know if Netflix, even
and they're in the red from what I hear the time.
Because they're buying other people's stuff.
It's like this.
They're renting it.
Yeah.
Right? They don't own it. And that's the other side of, like, that's why Disney was able to capitalize and eventually buy Marvel and buy Lucasfilm and all that stuff. They've leveraged against assets that they internally own and will forever own.
Yeah.
You know, so it's going to be interesting to see how Netflix survives this amount of
I think they'll survive.
Yeah.
It depends on what everybody else is doing. What's Disney going to bring? You know, like, is it going to be? Do I need to have this? Will this Star Wars TV show they're making? Do I have to have? Really?
I mean, I think a lot rests on how Solo does now, doesn't it?
Yeah. I don't. That's a whole other conversation.
Yes,
I don't even want to get fired up about that right now.
We'll have Johnny on to have an all Star Wars discussion very soon. You know what we should do is maybe talk about the state of Star Wars after Solo. We can. Have you seen the Rebels show?
I saw a little bit of it. You know, I think it's really good for a child of your age.
Somebody that's just coming up, like in Star Wars, like myself. Well, we should talk about the Rebel stuff, and I would love to have David Collins and Sam Witwer join us on Skype, and we could have a collective kind of discussion.
Bash the Last Jedi.
Well, we talk about all of it. I think David loved it.
Yeah.
You know, and I know that you like it more than I like it.
That's a whole other discussion.
Yes.
And my feelings on it have changed over time. So,
as they seem to do with that movie.
Yes, that movie's a funny one.
All right, well, that's our rundown. I hope you guys enjoyed that. We're going to get to some questions and comments and all that stuff a little bit later in the show. We've got a great Let's Play and Chat plan for you today.